Hello everybody, my name is Adam Phantom. I am enrolled in EDL 850 at Fort Hays State University, and what I wish to discuss my Module 4 project is the establishment of schools' computer use guidelines. Do schools have the right and the ability to determine what are acceptable modes of classroom behavior as it relates to using computers? Just to give you guys a quick background about myself, I am presently employed at a local community college as an instructional designer. Previously, I was employed at the within the college's IT department, so I understand the need for schools to develop and maintain safe computer use guidelines, not only from a legal and ethical perspective for the college, but also to protect college and schools participants such as staff, faculty, and students when issues such as pornography or illegally downloading and distributing copyrighted content arise. Just give you a quick background. I want to discuss what are some detailed guidelines for appropriate use of using a school's computer system resources and computer network resources. I've also based my presentation loosely upon my own college's computer use guideline policy. Um, my college's computer user policy determines that computing resources include, or you using computing facilities include using data or programs are stored on computers on campus, as well as any and all software applications that can be stored within physical media. Physical media includes such things as CDs, thumb drives, that are owned and maintained by the school. The school does have a right to monitor internet access, as well as distributing any online content, as well as all forms of email. Real quickly, or I should say, a lot of people don't understand that when they receive and use a school's free email account, their school, whether it's the K through 12 level all the way up to the university or graduate level, the school does maintain and reserve the right to monitor email in case the college is worried about such things such as identity theft, distributing kind of copyrighted material, any issues possibly with pornography may arise. Again, schools need to develop guidelines to help ensure that all students, faculty, and staff, as well as general public users who wish to use a school's computer resources, again, at the college where I work, I need to understand that they have to use the school's computer facilities in both an ethical and legal manner. One way that my college, as well as most colleges and schools, have helped to enforce what they term as ethical and legal behavior is to give all college participants an individual user network login account, so that all users, again, whether they are staff, faculty, students, as well as general public users who want to come in and say use a school's or college's library, everybody has to be given individual login accounts if they need it or want to attempt to access any kind of computing resources in a school. The importance, again, of these individual computer user accounts. When an individual receives an individual user account, they have the ability to use such resources as email, check their school's particular intranet. Faculty receive an individual login account, so they can do such things as post grades and receiving grade or posting grades to their students, as well as students receiving grades, as well as finding any kind of general campus or school information. Most schools, including mine, have formally written out guidelines that say that individual computer user accounts can only be used for school or work-related activities. There are obviously consequences to violating my college's computer use guideline policy. And again, this usually is enforced in a similar manner in pretty much most schools who have developed such as these policies. Whenever an individual at a school attempts to gain any kind of unauthorized illegal access of a school's asset, it will be constituted as theft and can be punishable by law. So say, for instance, if a student is trying to illegally download a software application from a college computer, the college does have the right to knock off their network access, as well as determine whether or not a local law enforcement agency needs to be called and such issues like as theft or trying to illegally download or distribute copyrighted content. And when we talk about copyrighted content or copyright protected content, uh, it includes such things as computer software and multimedia content, such as movies, games, TV shows. Real quickly, since I work at a college, when I worked within the IT department, we had several students who, for instance, were trying to download peer-to-peer software or BitTorrent software programs so they could attempt to illegally download movies and games to a college's local resources. Many of these students, once they were caught, their network access was cut off with a warning for a certain period of time, and then they were eventually allowed to reuse the college's resources. Educational institutions do in fact have the legal obligation and mandate to define what they seem to be as unauthorized access as computing resources. Again, this mandate applies evenly to students, staff, faculty. Um, if an institution has determined that if a particular person, a particular group of people have tried to use unauthorized access of a school's resources, there could be grounds for discipline and or dismissal. And if the situation is severe enough, such as various illegal forms of pornography or trying to download and distribute copyrighted content, those individuals could quite possibly face, civil or criminal prosecution from law enforcement agencies. My college is allowed to enforce this policy. In fact, most schools are allowed to enforce this policy through some of these guidelines. Schools can monitor any kind of electronic transmission that occurs within their college campus or the college or campus or schools, computers and network systems. Schools do have the right to inform, again, the college community, since I work at a community college, or again, if it's a K through 12 school, they have the right to tell their community of students, parents, and staff that the school does have a right to monitor any kind of electronic, print, or other media within campus, and that if a particular electronic, print, or any kind of other media material can in fact be considered the sole property of the school. Users should not expect or infer any rights of privacy while on the campus network. Again, that's referring to whether or not a college or a school has a right, for instance, to monitor a particular user's email if they feel that that's warranted. Some types of behavior that can be determined to violate user policies could be any attempt to access or modify any kind of a software application or program on a campus or school computer. Any attempt to trick a particular user to divulge their password. This is known as social engineering. People are not allowed to share passwords with another user. Again, I've said this several times already, but it's not legal and it's also unethical to attempt to copy and distribute any kind of copy protected material. Students are not allowed to install unauthorized software. This also applies to faculty and staff. Individuals are not allowed to install or run any kind of password cracking software. They're also not allowed to engage in such illicit activities such as using computing resources to harass other campus computer users, participating in kind of gambling activity. Schools do have, for instance, the right to block online poker sites. They cannot use campus resources to endanger lives or livelihoods, or cyberbullying, as is more commonly referred to. Individuals do not have the right to access or distribute pornographic material, and they cannot use a school's computing resources to attempt to engage in any kind of criminal behavior. There are a few legal cases that have arisen, especially over the last 10 or 15 years, since schools have decided to make heavy use of computers and internet within their curriculum. The first major case was it was Zellner versus Herrick. Basically what happened was a teacher was caught accessing pornographic material on his school's computer. He claimed that he received no established computer user policy, even though his particular school had already one established. This is important because schools need to tell an individual at the start of their employment with a school, or tell a student at the start of their enrollment within a particular school that this is the computer use guidelines. These are what certain types of behaviors are not allowed. These are the consequences of such behavior. At my particular school, we actually have individuals look at these computer use guidelines, read them, and sign them. Again, just to protect the school in case anything as severe as this were to ever occur. Um, Again, there's also some articles I also found. So the teacher was terminated for accessing inappropriate material on his school's computer. Again, it's very similar to the first case I just discussed, where the teacher accessed pornographic material on his high school's computer. But again, he claimed that his school's computer use policy never referred to anything like this. The consequences for the first two cases was that the teacher was in fact terminated. Again, these policies also apply equally and evenly to students. Point 3 right here, a high school student was expelled for hacking to a school's computer system. Again, schools within their computer use guidelines need to tell students that if they attempt to access a particular part of school's network they should not have access to, that should be closed off to them. If they are caught hacking and breaking into a school system, not only can they face expulsion, they also could face possible criminal penalties as well. Again, in conclusion, schools do reserve the right and legal obligation to document and distribute computer use policies to all participants. As I just discussed in my previous slide, there are many cases when it has been constitutionally upheld that schools do have the right to limit what users can and cannot use on their computers. Users should expect to have a loss of privacy when using campus resources. It doesn't necessarily mean that the college is going to spy on every single website or every single keystroke you hit on your keyboard, but schools do reserve the right that if you think an individual or a group of individuals are attempting to illegally use the colleges or schools' resources in an unethical and illegal manner, such as hacking or trying to download and distribute copyrighted material, schools do have a right to monitor their activity. Again, the penalties can be and have been known to be quite severe. Students can be expelled from an institution. Staff and faculty can have their employment terminated. When there's cases such as serious redress, as I just discussed right here in this previous slide. And again, computer use policies are again very important for all schools from the K through 12 level all the way up to university level, because it helps protect the institution from lawsuits that could arise, as well as also protecting students. If students feel that they, for instance, are a victim of cyberbullying, the schools are responsible to redress or to address such severe issues, and again monitor any kind of activity that may be attributed to a particular cyberbullying, as well as find the students at fault as well as punish them if such things are warranted. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.